I'm Richard Freestone. I'm a photographer and printmaker. I grew up in Derbyshire. I was almost feral. I just loved being outdoors. And, you know, school holidays, even from the age of 11, 12, I would just be gone for weeks. I would load my rucksack with a friend of mine and we'd just go and wander the Peak District. I'd be fishing in the rivers of Derbyshire. I'd be cycling around the country lanes. I was just feral. And I wanted to work outdoors, I wanted to work on the land. I had a Saturday job that I absolutely adored, and that was working on a nursery, growing tomatoes and cucumbers and flowers and things. So I wanted to work outdoors, but my father was absolutely insistent that that wasn't going to happen. He was an engineer. He thought engineering was a great career. We had an enormous fight over it. And then he dropped the clanger of saying, we're leaving Derbyshire, we're going to Cambridge. And it took all the wind out of my sails, because we got to Cambridge and I didn't know what I was going to do. The argument was won. Was I always an art lover? I enjoyed making things in art at school as a boy. The only problem was, if I took them home to show my father, he would say, "It's very nice, lad, but it won't get you anywhere. Maths and science are all that matters." And so, yeah, it was knocked out of me, really. At home, we didn't have art on the walls. Art was sort of laughed at. It wasn't important. So why it was important to me, I don't know. But over the years, I just became more and more interested in art. You know, I would go, I'd go off to Italy and just wander around galleries and places, and I'd often go to London, you know, if there's a good exhibition on. And I just steadily got more and more interested. I don't know whether I would have ever called myself an artist. I tend to regard photography as a craft more than art. But then, you know, it's a crazy thing, this constant argument, is photography art? Well, I suppose the creative part of photography, that actual vision, that idea for an image, is artistic. But the actual production of the finished print, you know, is a craft. I suppose it's changed with the digital revolution, because photographers, commercial photographers, will make an image and hand it over to a client without it ever having a form. It's just pixels that's in the ether, that's sent by email or whatever. But for me, the print's the thing, you know. John Blakemore was, you know, an inspiration because he was quite well known. Most of the lecturers and teachers there at that time were quite well known. They were constantly creating their own work. The academic tutors were publishing, you know, stuff. They were critiquing work. The people like John Blakemore and Lynn Silverman. Lynn Silverman was a great tutor. She American, I think, or Canadian, but she taught us the alternative processes. So it's thanks to Lynn that I'm making platinum prints now. And she was a fine tutor too. John Kinsey, Alan Barnes, John X. Berger, you know, a great bunch really. Certainly when I went to college and watched Blakemore print, You know, he'd come in with a few 5/4 negs and he'd start to print, and every one of those were just gorgeous things. And I do remember, you know, a few of his pictures that really had an effect on me. He was working in a stream in far north Derbyshire. I think it was Lynch Clough. All Flows, I think the body of work was called. Water flowing through some rocks. I found those captivating. And then when I came back to Derbyshire from London, I saw an exhibition of John's, which I thought was, you know, pretty amazing. It was from his Tulip series. And then I was working on a body of my own flowers, and I went to see John, and I showed him the work that I was producing. And these were digital prints, mind. These weren't finely crafted silver gelatins at all. These were digital. And he took my breath away when he said, "I'd like to buy that one off you, Richard." And I said to him, "Well, I'm not going to sell it to you, John, but I'll swap it for one of yours." And I now have one of those Tulip series, and they are gorgeous. It's a fabulous print. It looks like it's so beautifully printed, and it's fairly high key. It looks like a charcoal drawing in places. It's a stunning print, and I think it's rather fabulous. So, yeah, anything that John produced were rather wonderful and inspiring. Other photographers, I'd have to say Irving Penn. Love his portraiture, and his platinum prints, you know, are just stunning. Oh gosh, what a good question. I love music, yes. I am totally unmusical. I tried at school as a boy to play a musical instrument. I'm afraid it just completely leaves me. I have absolutely no talent whatsoever for music, I'm afraid. It's a great sadness to me. But I have a blaster in here, an old Gatto blaster type thing, and it's fixed on Radio 4 because I love listening to Radio 4, and I pop the odd CD in there every now and then. So yeah, I do listen to music and I do listen to the radio. Does it affect the way I print? Do you know, I've never thought about it, but it could do, couldn't it? Yeah, it could do. My mood affects the way I print, and having known John Blakemore for a while, I've noticed how his prints change to his marital status and his mood, his, you know, the way he is, and I think, yeah, it must affect us all. And this is again with making handcrafted prints. Everyone's unique, everyone's different. Once you've worked a picture up on screen and decided, you know, that's it, I'll print that, it's always going to be the same, isn't it? But with a handcrafted print, no, they change with mood. So no, I think my moods and my personal situation affects my printing far more than the music does. Oh, digital versus analog printing, eh? Gosh. Digital cameras are phenomenally expensive, aren't they? Still are, you know, 30-odd thousand pounds for a good high-resolution camera. But for the vast majority of us, you know, the single lens reflex camera is perfectly good enough. But a lot of the problem I have with digital prints, and I still make digital prints. Well, I don't actually. I give them to somebody else to make. I hate digital printing. I hate the blooming Epson printers or whatever printer it is, but I can never get on with the printers. I hate them. I will give it to somebody else to print for me. But I do still have them made for me. But the difference, I think, digital prints, they seem sometimes to be just utterly perfect, far too perfect. They're too sharp. They're too much detail. God, I might be talking utter rubbish really, but when I look at a platinum print or a silver gelatin or a handcrafted print, there's something in there that's unique. Let's look back at some of the great. If we look back to somebody like Sarah Moon. Now, you could look at a picture and you knew that was a Sarah Moon picture. You didn't need her name on it. You could tell because of her style and the way it was printed and the way it was photographed. It was Sarah Moon. I would say you could do the same with John Blakemore, Irving Penn. So, with handcrafted printing, there is that element of the photographer or printer, in the print, and I just love that uniqueness, in a handmade print. The photographer of this print is Lewis Carroll, the author, and the subject is Alice Liddell, and it's Alice from Alice in Wonderland, and this is his inspiration. So rather a lovely picture. Yeah. And this is another one here by Lewis Carroll. It's called Unknown Woman. It is one of my favourites. I don't know why it's one of my favourites. It just strikes a chord with me, and I think it's rather lovely. Oh, another little thing is, when you prepare albumen, you beat the albumen until it's a froth, and then you leave it to settle, and you mix the salt in with it. Now, you can use sodium, or you can use ammonium chloride. Now, ammonium chloride will give a slightly warmer finish, and the old prints will have undoubtedly been used making sodium, using sodium chloride. But I used ammonium to try and reproduce the prints that look like the originals do today. You've got to remember that this print over time will change. The egg whites, the albumen, will warm. They'll slightly turn yellow. So what I was trying to do was to make an albumen print today look like a 150-year-old albumen print, and it worked quite successfully. I was very pleased with the way it turned out. This is a photograph that I've always felt I got exactly what I wanted. It's a very old photograph. I took this in about 1992. It's of an actress, young actress. She just left acting school and was setting off on her career. And it's taken outdoors. It's taken on 35mm, an old Contax RTS2 that I used to use. It's taken on a 135mm lens at f2.8, and I was very lucky that this young woman could look straight down the lens, cool, calm. She knew exactly what to do, and I knew the moment I pressed the shutter, I got it. Now, I'd just left college. I was still groping my way around, being a photographer. But later on, when I was working in London, shooting portraits and a bit of fashion, I knew the moment I hit that button whether I'd got it or not. And I was so used to shooting roll after roll after flipping roll of film, you know, and getting the odd one or two on a roll that was any good. With this lass, I was getting 8 and 9 pictures off a roll. They were just superb. But that one has always been my favourite. I just love the way she looks cool. She looks straight down the lens without any embarrassment, without any intimidation. And I've always liked it as a picture. Originally it was printed in silver gelatin. This is a platinum print that I made quite recently, and it still does it for me. Every time I look at that picture I think, that's one of those handful in a career, you know, that
so
worked.
It's the connection, isn't it?
Yeah, I just love it.